What is up, young lovers? Welcome back to the Love and Learn podcast. We got a great episode for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We talk all about our love story. Wow. Oh, it is all butterflies and rainbows over here for us. No, but we do share our story of how we met. And just for some context for you guys, this is a fairly in-depth story. Now, we'll say that we did talk a lot about context before we got into a relationship or even met each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think took up the first 10 minutes of it or so. But then after that, we started sharing the story of how we met. And so if you already know us, then if you want more details, you more than welcome to listen. But if you guys want to know our love story, this is the episode for it. This is how you can intimately connect with us as a couple and fall in love with our story. And then you guys can share your love story and we can fall in love with your love story. And it's just a lot of love. Love is in the air. What's you doing after this podcast?
I'm going to get ready to go get some pizza.
Okay. Yeah, that's what's up. But anyways, we hope you guys love this episode. And I think at this point, we'll be on all platforms. But if you want to leave us a review, it helps tremendously because that is how it feeds the algorithm, which then sends us to all young lovers across the country so that we can...
We're going to talk about this young lover thing.
We're young lovers.
Okay.
I love it. I wanted to do my spelling of it, but I guess that I don't get my gangster spelling.
No.
So it's okay.
Not who we are.
It'll just remain as my Xbox gamer tag. But we hope you guys love this episode. Leave us a review and let's jump right into it. What is up, young lovers? We are back live in the living room. This time, Peanut is with us.
Little peanut coconut
Yes.
head. Do you have something to say? Good.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome. He's covered in drool and spit currently.
Yummy.
Yeah. Yum.
Well.
Yeah.
Yep. Silas, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, guys. It's on. Oh.
He can share.
Oh, sorry. He wants to talk for himself.
All right.
We're just counting down the minutes till a nap. So if we take a little break, it's called a baby pause, and that means he is ready for his nap. Might be coming up here sooner than we expect it to.
Oh man. Well, we are in episode 2 of Love and Learn, and we wanted to talk about our love story a little bit because we all love a good love story. And what better than to preface all of our talks about what our relationship was like, how it started, the good old days, and the roots, so to say. So that's what we're going to be talking about. Right, Silas?
Correct.
Yes, Miss Chicken.
He eats his green chicken. Wow.
He does.
We do this.
Yes. So to start this off, I think it would be good for us to give context prior to meeting about who we were, what we were doing, stage of life, all that.
Start.
I start?
Yeah.
I was going to say ladies first, but I guess
exactly.
I guess you get the brownie points for this one. Oh, really? Wow. Real mature. All right. Well, at the time that we met, excuse me, miss,
Sorry.
we don't bump the mic.
I have a baby in my lap. I'm doing the best I can.
I'm hearing excuses. So before we met at the time, we were both, sir, I don't know if we're going to do this with all the chatter.
Oh, we might take a little baby pause and we'll be back in 15.
This might be, yep, I think we're baby pausing it. Let's put him in his room, shall we?
And baby pause.
So, as I was saying, when I was in the season of meeting Alyssa, just prior to it, I was living with 3 dudes in an apartment in close to here, actually, close to the area. And I was just finishing up my 3rd year of college, which I only did 3 years of college, so it was technically my last year. But I was finishing up school, doing a degree in communications, and was also pursuing full-time. I think, actually, was I working at Dutch Bros when you first met me?
No.
Really?
You were not. Yep.
I had just finished?
Okay, you must have. I don't know.
Yes, because I had my last day before I left for that mission trip summer. So I just transitioned out of working in stand at a coffee shop called Dutch Bros, which is now almost all over the country. So most people know what it is now. So yeah, we're those people because you worked there too. And was working there for a while, and I finally made the move to get out of it. And then I went full-time content creator. So I was doing photography for some weddings, but I was also doing stuff with businesses and was also doing stuff with Dutch Bros. I just transitioned into like a content creator role instead and was more self-employed, just 1099 in it. So I was doing that and living it up with the boys in the apartment. And that was actually around not too long after that. I had also been in the works of like reshaping and reestablishing another business that I have, which is called Ask Us Why, which is a Christian apparel company. It started as a Christian apparel company. I'm not an apparel expert, and I really don't find passion too much in it. I think it's cool, but it's not where I want to spend all my time. So over the course of time, I've really transitioned it, and it's much different now. But when we first met, I was in that stage of trying to figure out what I wanted to do with it, trying to restructure it a little bit. It was a little bit later, I think, actually, when we did the full rebrand.
Yeah.
That was when COVID hit. But prior to that, it was still in the works, but I was predominantly spending most of my time doing some self-employed work, living with the 3 duders that I'm still very close to all of them today, and was living my best life. Just gotten back from a mission trip. I was leading trips to Zambia, Africa, that does what you would call bush evangelism. The bush is just the rural areas of all of Africa. Literally the entire continent calls it the bush. It's just like what we would call the wash here in Arizona, but people live in it. So we were doing a lot of evangelism with that stuff, but that's all the way over in like South Central Africa. But I had just gotten back from that trip as well. And that was right around the time that I had met you. What were you doing right before I met you?
Not a whole lot. I was working at a pottery studio, a little pottery painting place. So fun. That's one of the jobs that I'm like, I did not want to leave. It was such a good time.
Yeah, you're a big finger painter, aren't you?
I would gladly finger paint. When Silas is old enough, you best believe we're into all those little crafts. It's going to be so fun. Such a fun job though. But that was just the job I was currently doing while working at Target. No, I'm sorry. I left Target to work at the pottery place while I was in college though. That's when this was all going on. Mm-hmm. So I went to GCU as well. That's where Jared was going, but we never actually crossed paths at GCU.
We probably did a lot of times,
but never actually caught each other's eye or crossed paths in that way. But I was going to GCU. At that point, I'd already transitioned. So I was getting a bachelor's in behavioral health science. Not using that. Do I have it? Yes. Check. Nice. But not using it. But I was going to GCU for that. And I was living at home. I lived 10 minutes off of campus. There was no point in me paying that high fee to live on campus in the dorms or in the apartments and not doing that. But
you missed it.
Yeah, I do wish I would have, but I saved so much money. And I was there all the time with friends and doing things. I was, for being a commuter student.
Where are those savings? You saved all that money?
No. I did save money. It's not, okay, we're in debt for my student loans. Sorry. But it could be worse.
Uh-huh. It could.
It could be a whole lot worse.
It could be a lot worse.
They were really not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we could talk about debt another time.
Well, you were just saying you were saving all this cash by not being there, but someone has student debt and I don't have student debt, but I lived on campus.
We both learned finances differently.
We did.
And we will raise Silas to learn finances in a combination.
Yes.
More so your combination.
Yeah. Alyssa was stashing all her cash under her pillow. She doesn't believe in the financial structure of the U.S. government.
I just really didn't understand that. I would probably want the money later on in life, not in the current season. So it just went away.
Went to booze and...
No. No.
What did you spend your money on?
I couldn't tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't know what you spent?
I know I bought like all my bedroom decor.
From Target?
Just doing, yeah.
What else did you buy?
What else did I buy? I thrifted a crap ton,
Okay.
like secondhand shopping. So I did that often.
Yeah.
Saved money, but obviously I still have to spend money, just not
Right.
the full price. Makeup and skincare has always been a pricey little thing there. I don't know where that money went. I really don't. What was I paying for?
You weren't paying for food. You wouldn't have to pay a
I would
car.
pay for my food going out. I was with friends all the time. We were always doing stuff. So
So
honestly, a lot of my money went to social things.
Went to Chick-fil-A.
Probably.
Understood. Well, glad to know where it's at now.
Hey,
It
if I
went to
could
the
go
Lord's
back.
chicken.
If I could go back.
So, anything else?
I think that's pretty much it. I wasn't doing a whole lot.
You actually were just in a relationship.
Yeah, my
and had
first one.
just gotten out of it.
Yeah.
You had been dating
For a month. Probably.
And I was about a year and like a half out of a relationship, but mine was 10 months.
Yeah.
So a little bit different.
Yeah, mine was my first relationship.
Yes.
Lasted a month.
Yeah. And you were absolutely
Devastated.
heartbroken.
Just kidding. No, I handled it so well.
Yeah.
Totally respect how that all went down.
Yeah, you guys like bro hugged it out.
Bro hugged.
that was how it ended.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, mine didn't end so great.
Mine ended great.
Mine was different.
We're still very cordial.
Yeah.
So.
That's true. Yeah, but we're both, you were at a position though where you had just broken up, but then when I met you and I talked to all the other friends, they were like, yeah, she kind of just got out of a relationship, so maybe like pump the brakes a little bit. And I was like, heard. I will.
Yeah, which I do respect.
Slow
like
and
you,
steady pace
everyone
wins
looking
the
at it is
race.
probably like, it was literally a month. I'm like, that was the first time I ever had a boyfriend in my life. Yes,
First
was
time
it a
you
month?
held hands?
First time I held hands ever.
Really?
No.
Was he your first kiss though?
No.
What?
No.
Who was your first kiss?
Middle school.
I'm getting a little jealous right now. What was his
Sorry.
name?
Oh, I could get jealous. I honestly don't. Christian Bersenio, I think.
It was from a Christian?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wonder where he's at right now in life.
No, I don't know.
Gosh.
Couldn't tell you.
What a tool bag.
Sorry. Anyways, but yeah, like yes, it was a month, but for me, I definitely needed that month to even like. It just took me a long time to even like say yes to any guy going on a date, like holding hands, going to hang out their house, you meeting my family, me meeting yours. Like that's the kind of thing that I was always just like, this is real. This is a real thing now.
Do you think that would have been different if it had not been for the fact that you were a prestigious little girl who was in a very different school than everybody else? So you didn't really have like a huge circle.
Yeah.
Not like me where I was in like a public school, and a high school and stuff. Very different for you.
Yeah.
Plus you weren't on campus a whole lot because you lived at home. So you would go to class and then you would just leave. And that was the big difference, is that because I lived on campus, I was hanging around with people all the time.
Yeah.
So you meet a lot more faces.
Like especially in high school, I saw dating as pointless. Absolutely pointless. Didn't have any interest in it.
Whoa, hot take.
Hot take. Sorry. High school relationships, not worth it. Unless you might be that one special person, but like, you're really not going to.
I think it's 3% of all marriages are from
Yeah.
high school sweethearts.
Yeah. Like my friend Des and Lionel dated in high school, and here they are. High school sweethearts, just had a baby. So happy for you guys. But I knew that was not going to be me.
Right. Christian wasn't going to do it for you.
No. Jeremy Michael. Leave me alone. We can talk about your kiss list in your phone.
All right. So
No, but I always think I held myself to a standard of like I didn't want to put myself through all of the extra drama that came with the relationship. I didn't want to go through any of that if I knew it wasn't gonna be worth it. Like
Right.
It's not gonna last. What's the point? And I think I knew what I was looking for, but it just wasn't around me. Like the person I was looking for, I knew I wouldn't find until I was out of high school and was actually knew a little bit more what I wanted to do with my life and all of
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and I just saw all these high school relationships just be absolutely pointless and
They are pretty
drama, and I just didn't have the patience for it, didn't have the time for it.
yeah.
Not the type of person I am, so yeah, it took me a long time to date anybody.
You were
but-
getting primed up and I was getting primed up. And then the
Mhm.
day came that I came back from a mission trip, and one of the guys on my team, when he came back, he was given the opportunity to give the message at his church that Sunday. So he reached out in the group chat, asked if anyone wanted to come. I was like, heck yeah, I'll come support. So I showed up and all right, I'm going to be honest.
I already know because we talked about it.
Yeah, I know. I have to be honest about this because she'll call it out either way.
I will. I was like, you.
I walk into this church. It's an older church, very traditional pews, but it's a Protestant church. And I'm sitting in the back. And as I'm sitting in the back, I'm looking ahead and everybody is just old. Like, it kind of smelled like old people. Like, I love old people, but they kind of got an old people smell, and it kind of smelled like that. And I was like, oh, okay, interesting church that he attends. He's not very many young people. And then all of a sudden, these three blondes, like college age blondes, walk in.
And let me just say, I was not one of the three blondes.
And yeah.
Different three blondes walked into the
three
church.
Blondes walk in. You ever heard the joke, three blondes walk into a church? No. So they walk in and they sit right in front of me. And I kind of puzzled, just, where did you come from? Did you walk into the wrong church? Is this one of those like blonde jokes where it's like you're lost? No, but saw them. They were all like college age. And I was like, okay, like, cool. Maybe there are young people here. So then after service, I guess like the following day, he reached out and was like, hey, do you want to come to my college young adults group? We have it on Wednesdays. Was it Wednesdays or Thursdays?
I think it was Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yeah, why not? I'll come check it out. And in my mind, I was like, these attractive blondes might be there. Might go check it out. Now, context, at the time, I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm looking for like attractive friends, but like
I only want to surround myself by attractive people. And then maybe they'll fall in love with me, and then maybe
I'll be more attractive if I hang around. Isn't that how it works? Like you're the average of the five.
Humble yourself, please.
So I was intrigued by that, but I show up and lo and behold, they were there. And I was like, cool. Like I'll hang out, meet some other people, but at least it's not like as weird as I thought it might be. And as I walk in, there's like cornhole right in front. It's indoors, for whatever reason. I'm like, all right, I'll play. I think that they ended up joining me. I don't know how what happened. I think I was playing with a guy and the guy left and then all three girls came in and I was like, yeah, sure, we'll play. So I'm playing and then I look to my left and this dweebus girl is sitting in a beanbag chair, just like on her phone and then just kind of like watching. I'm like, who is this chick? And she was wearing a GCBC shirt. And GCBC is the beverage company. It's the coffee shop at GCU.
Yeah.
So I was like, she looks familiar. I don't know where I've seen her before, but I'm like, in my head, I'm like, maybe she works at GCBC. That's got to be it. She's got a work shirt. So we're hanging out. We're playing the games. And then all of a sudden they do a meal where everyone like shares in the meal. And so we're like in line. And I think we pass a few words back and forth. Mm-hmm. And then I think that I mentioned like, oh, do you like work at GCBC? And she was like, what? No, I found this for $3 at a Savers. And I was not quite the Southern accent that I just gave.
It's just normal. I'm like, no.
What? No, I found this at a Savers for $3. That was a red tag and it was half off. So
love a good deal.
I was
From the
like,
moment you met me, you knew I was a thrifty gal.
But she had like the oh man, how do I describe it? I don't know. She had like the quick banter. You had the quick banter, the quick wit, so that like as we were sharing jokes and kind of going back and forth, I was just like, she's kind of fun to talk to. Like I can like crack jokes or I can be like quick witted with her, and she'll fire back right away. And I was like, that's kind of fun. So then I think we played a game. They always play a game.
Yeah, was it? I could be wrong. Was it like the foot and you draw with the markers? Was that night with you?
Could have been. That might have been another one.
I will preface as well, I didn't go to this church. I was friends with the same guy who invited Jer to this group though.
Yes.
So I was already like, I hung out with him and all of our friends, like that group all the time at GCU.
Yep.
And so I was just coming to this Wednesday night group probably consistently for a hot minute now. But yes, I will say that. This is something I had already been going to.
Yes.
Someone just
but then I found out really quickly that those three blondes were very quiet and very reserved. And this blonde was very outgoing and very competitive. I don't remember what game it was we were playing, but whatever it was, she was front and center, loud as anyone, and you just could not take your eyes off of her. And not even from like an attractive standpoint, but just like,
she's kind of intense. This is a little...
Yeah.
I'm very entertaining to watch when I get competitive.
Yeah. I don't play games with you anymore because of that.
We have to be on the same team.
We do.
Or not
otherwise, I hate you.
Yeah, he loved it when he first met me. Now he absolutely cannot stand it.
I can't stand it. No, she's way too competitive for her own good. And so we're playing this game. And anyways, by the end of the night, I was like, she's really fun. Like, she likes to have fun. So then I text Elijah and I go, yo, who's this chick? And then I call him and he was like, hey, yeah, I think you're talking about Alyssa. And I was like, yeah, what's the deal about her? He's like, I don't know. She's a good friend. She's been coming to group for a while. She's really good friends with Emma Kellio. And I went, that's the connection, because Emma was in our friend group, is in our friend group, but I have seen Emma a lot more, and it made more sense. I was like, that's probably how I've seen her before. She's probably with Emma and her stories and some of her social media posts and that kind of stuff. And so I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Well, then I think that was kind of the end of it, because I asked him, I was like, is she like in a relationship? I got to get this out of the way real quick. And he's like, no, but I think that she just got out of one. So maybe pump the brakes if you're trying to do anything. And I was like, hey, heard loud and clear, Sergeant. I will stay reserved. So I think that I don't know if we exchanged DMs and then
Yes. So you DM'd me.
Yes.
And you were like, hey, I know where I know you from. Because we had already been talking about the at group. You're like, I know you from somewhere. We were trying to compare stories. I'm like, I don't know, dude. Sorry. Like,
yeah.
I'm every other blonde at GCU. There's a lot of me.
Right.
But you slid in my DMs.
Huh?
No, he's like, I know where I know you from. You're friends with Emma Kellio. And I was like, yeah, I am indeed. And like through talking back and forth, we realized we had already like met each other once before as well. I was driving Emma to his apartment actually for like some barbecue hangout you were having. And I was just dropping her off. And I was like, oh, I'll stay for like a few minutes before I have to go. And so I literally had already been in his apartment, met all of his roommates, hung by his pool, like I've been in his room, like getting the tour of their place.
Yep.
And I had no idea.
Right.
But at the time though, your hair was probably down. You had much more of a beard, I'm sure. So just
not a beard. I had the mustache.
Before this prior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I shaved to the mustache from the mission trip.
Yes, but before the mission trip when I met you back.
Back then. Yeah.
It was probably a beard, long hair. So very different looking guy. He goes through phases.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he sends my DMs to just,
right.
Make that little connection. I think we were already following each other too.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think so. So get number, and then I'm like, well, let's see if we can do like a hangout. So I invite her and Emma to come over to my place to hang out and have a little pool party with some friends. We do that
because we learned we had all the same friends too. So you're already having like Charity, Jesse, like a ton of people I knew. I was like, all these same people? What the heck?
So worlds collided, invited her over, and was like, let's see how she is around my friends. Because like if she ain't cool around the friends, then she's out. So quickly realized after that hangout, I was like, she's a little shy, but that's because she's still trying to get the feel of like the friend group, meeting new people. She didn't know my friends like Eric and Chris and Grayson that I was living with. So we get acquainted fairly quickly with that. But then following Wednesday, we hang out again at youth group. And at that point, we had already been chatting a bit. But then I went to youth group and I was like, man, like she is really fun to be around. So I was like, I got to find a way to like hang out with her without making it seem like it's a date, because Elijah said, pump the brakes. I used my employment to my advantage or my self-employment, so to say. And I had to do some photos for a company that I did some work for at the time and needed to do some product shots, but I needed a model. So I reached out to her and I said, hey, what are you doing next Tuesday? I need to get some photos done for this company. I need a model. Lunch is on me. And she was like,
free food?
You got me at free food. And so
said, most importantly, where are we going for this free food?
Right? We did Cafe Rio, I think, right?
We did Cafe Rio.
Yeah. So did Cafe Rio, but anyways, she comes over around like 10 a.m. And before I know it, we spent I think we spent like 14 hours together.
Yeah.
Probably more.
Yeah.
We started out with taking some photos and I was like, oh yeah, just like creating conversation. And then it went from taking some photos to going back to the apartment. And when I went back to the apartment, my buddy Grayson was like, hey, you cool if I have like a couple of friends over from my mission trip? Just gonna hang out. And I was like, yeah, I don't care. I'm chilling with it. So we finished taking photos. We go get some food. we come back to the apartment and I walk in and there's no joke, probably 45 people crammed into our living room. My jaw dropped.
Oh gosh, what did I just walk into?
The first thing I told her was like, this is not normal.
I'm like,
this
I'm new
is
here.
This is not how things look. It's kind of like, you know, like Ratatouille, when all the rats come off of the ceiling and they like land on the ground and they're all looking at the old lady and they all just like eyes at once. We opened the door and that's how it happened. Like all eyes turn around and they were just staring at us. And I was like, who are you people? And, yeah, I was like, that's a little much. So why don't we get out of the house?
We stayed for a bit. We played a few games with them, and I was like,
yeah,
you could tell. I was like,
no, I don't think we played any games with them. Yeah, we went into our room.
No, we played.
We played Quiplash with them.
Quiplash. Yep.
Okay. Well, yeah, played maybe a game or two. Then we went to my room, and I was like, "You want to go to the pool, maybe?" And she was like, "Okay, sure." So we went to the pool, hung out there for a bit, and then after that, it was like, "Oh, like you're still around? Let's go. You want to get food again?" So we got Chick-fil-A. And after we got Chick-fil-A, a couple other friends came over and it's like, well, do you want to have a game night? And it was like, let's have a game night. So we started playing some games together. And then I think that we got bored of games and we turned on a Netflix special that was from
a comedy or something.
It was from John. I'm forgetting his last name, but he's one of my favorites.
Mulaney.
John Mulaney.
I was like, it's an M.
Yes. So we watched a John Mulaney special and I was like, this guy's funny. We had a great time hanging out. And then before we realized it, it was like 2 a.m. And it was like, oh my gosh.
I need to go home.
You should probably go home. So she leaves and I'm like, man, she's really cool. And I had been really intentional that whole day with asking questions, like way more intentional than just like, well, what do you do for work? And, you know, what's life like at home? It was more like asking questions about like, well, what are you passionate about? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, what are some of your core values? Like a lot of those things. And a lot of those answers resonated with me about like where she's trying to go, what she's trying to do in life and what she's about. And so she leaves and I'm having these thoughts and my roommates turn to me and they're like, yo, she's really cool. And I was like, I know. I think she might be the one. And they kind of like did the smirk kind of look of like, I think you're onto something. And I was like, I'm going to take things slow, but things are looking on the bright side. So following that, we just start hanging out, chatting a ton.
Yeah.
And
well, even after I left that night, I was like, oh crap, what am I doing? Like, not that anything is wrong, but I know I just got out of a 1-month relationship.
Right.
Whoop. But I was not anticipating meeting anybody.
Right.
And I was like, is this like, I'm like, I've never had a rebound. Am I interested because it could be a rebound, or am I interested because he's like really cool and I actually like him?
Yeah.
And so I kept it to myself because I know Emma kept asking me about you over and over. She's like, so Remy.
Because I had a phone call with her, I think after the second time that we met up. It was after our hangout actually, because we were hanging out, whatever, had a great time. The next day I call her and I'm like, dude, what is your problem? And she's like, excuse me? And I'm like, you've been hiding her from me this entire time? Like, what's the deal? And she was just laughing. And I was like, she's really cool. And she's like, she is really cool. So anyways, from there, we start hanging out some more, chatting back and forth. But this entire time, I am avoiding all signs of emotion and flirting. I'm trying my best to just be fun, be myself.
I loved. Let me
and
say I did
not trying to like push things fast. And then it got to a point where I was like, you know what? It's been a few weeks. We've been hanging out a ton and talking a ton. I need to be like clear with my intentions with her. So I reach out to her and I'm like, hey, what are you doing this Friday night? And she was like, I don't know. I don't got plans. We ended up doing some scooting boots and which is like
line
dancing.
Swing dancing.
That's the name of the place. Yeah. Not line dancing. Swing dancing.
Yes.
Line dancing is like
They do both though.
Okay.
But we were swing dancing. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. But was like, okay, cool. Let's do that. And so I think it was at the very end of the night when we came back because we had a lot of fun. Emma was like, yo, you gotta talk to her. And I was like, yeah, I am. She's like, cool. I'll be your wingman, wingwoman. And she like had to go into the house to go to the bathroom. And I was like, me and you hanging in the garage. And I think that I like opened up one of your guys' like lawn chairs and I sat down on it or something. And I was like, listen. And you were like, oh no.
I was like, what the heck is going on?
I was like, I gotta be real with you. I'm super into you and I think you're really cool. I'm very attracted to you. And I just want to explain my intentions that I'm someone who only dates with intentionality. and with the purpose of looking for a suitable spouse. And if you're not cool with that, just let me know. I don't want to put pressure on asking you anything, but I just want you to be like in the know of my intentions so you don't have to be confused because I'm not showing you any emotion, but I'm clearly interested in you. And she was like, okay, thanks.
No, I literally said, I'm like, okay. I'm like, I think I'm in the same boat as you, but I just want to make sure. So just give me a little bit more time to like think about it, figure out how I'm feeling.
Yeah. So I decided let's have a convo and was clear and honest in all of those things. And then after we did that, I was like, yeah, it's good now. Sorry, we were checking the camera. And had that conversation. She was like, yeah, definitely think I need some time to decide. And I think it was a week later. I think it was like 1 week later.
Yeah, I knew. Well, here's the thing too. After he had that conversation with me, I go in the house, Emma goes home, whatnot. My mom had met him that night too because he came to pick like me and Emma up from my house.
Each other's parents, I know, right?
And he apparently left a really good impression on my mother.
I swooned her.
He swooned her.
Said, April, how you doing, fine woman?
No. No. But that night I was like hanging out in my room. My mom comes in and she's like, so how was the night? I was like, oh, it was fun. Like just hung out with friends and stuff. And she's like, so what do you think about Remy? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like this is the first time she's met him. Right. She knows I was hanging out with like a friend named Remy. And she's like, what do you think of like Remy? And I was like, are you asking if I like him? Because I think I might. And she was like, like she got so giddy with it. And she's like, I like him for you. I like him so much. She's like, I'm like, thanks, oh my gosh. Like she's never shown any interest in like me dating anybody or anything like that. But she's like, from the moment I met him, she's like, this is who I see you with. Someone like this. Like even his mustache is fun. And just like, gosh.
Yeah, at the time I had really long hair and I had a mustache that I would wax. Curly Q. So it would be curly Q's. Yep. So I was definitely an interesting looking fellow at the time. Yeah. A face you couldn't forget.
Yep.
Which was a kind of a curse because even people at like the Qdoba Mexican restaurant, like everyone in line just like knew my regular. So yeah, it was just weird.
But I think her saying that to me definitely was like, yeah, I could see this. Like you like him, I like him. I think this, okay, you got your approval. This is nice.
Yeah. Yep. So I think it was maybe a week later that we were hanging out and I was like throwing my arm over you and we were watching a movie or whatever. And then when you left that night, I made moves to kiss you.
Yep. And you walked me to my car.
I did. I said, let's play a game. How far's too far?
It was...
And not in a sexual way. But I was like, I don't know, like, I'm going to hold your hand. Funny. I was like, what do you think
of
this?
Is this okay?
Yeah.
It sounds so bad we talk about it. Every time we talk about it, I'm like, it was cute in the moment. I promise. Smooth. There's no way to explain that to anybody without it sounding like, what did you do?
Sounds intrusive. Sounds like coercive. It sounds toxic. It was none of those things.
I promise. It was all very pure intentions.
Yeah.
Just when you reword it back, it sounds bad.
Yeah. But anyways, so it only took a week for you to be like, yeah, I want this. So,
but even in all of that, we were hanging out like every single day though.
We were. And it was, but it was like the start of right before school started. School hadn't started yet. And so we had nothing else going on. And I was self-employed, so I didn't have work. It was just you that had work. So whenever you finished work, you would come over. Or if you didn't have work, you'd come over. And if you had work, you would still come over. Just do your work from there.
Couldn't keep me away. Also, I just really enjoyed all of his friends too. Like, the apartment was the place that everyone hung out. And so I'm like, well, I like you. And I really like all of your friends. Like, this is where I want to be.
Yep. So we hung out all the time. And after a while, a few more weeks, I decided to like maybe make things official. So I invited her to go on a little trip to Sedona. And it's about a 2-hour drive for anyone that's listening outside of the Phoenix area. It's like a 2-hour drive north and it's beautiful red rocks, and decided to go on a hike. So we went on a hike and decided to plop on a knee. No, I'm just kidding. We were sitting next to each other.
I don't remember this proposal.
And I asked her if I could have the honor of being her boyfriend.
He was so nervous.
No, I wasn't.
I was like he was sitting and I was like sitting in his lap. That sounds weird. We're just like laying there, chilling, hanging out. And I could like feel his heart beating
Yep.
And I'm like, you're not a nervous guy. You're very confident. You're very sure.
Yep.
And I was like, something's about to happen.
Yeah.
He is nervous as heck. He is like, I could hear it in your voice. I could feel it. It was funny. But.
Yeah. Can you switch out the battery real quick?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I'll chat and you won't be able to hear it, but I'll continue talking. So we decided to make it official. We went and got some brunch after, which was super fun and had a lot of fun with it. And then after getting brunch, we went back home and decided to tell the world. No, I have no idea. This was so long ago. But after we made it official, we started dating and it was fun. But then right at the 3-month mark, we were sitting in my living room and we were just hanging out watching, I don't know.
Wait, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Well, I think because we met in end of July, and started dating September 4th.
Yeah.
So that's just that little time frame for you guys. Okay, now continue.
So 6 weeks, talked,
Mm-hmm.
then started dating. And then at the 3-month mark, sat down and I was just super honest. And I was like, hey, you're fun. I'm fun. Let's do this thing forever.
We were reading Loveology. I think we were both reading Loveology.
I don't think we were reading it quite yet.
I think we were, though, because Brooke and Stephen Keller gave them to us, and you remember you mentioned a list of like the characteristics to look for in a wife.
Yeah. Yeah, I was. Yeah, I had skipped to the end of the book, and one of the Q&A things was like, how long should you date before you should know whether or not to marry? And they were saying like 3 months is a really good mark if you're intentional with your time. And I was like, perfect. So we sat down and I was like, hey, I'm reading this book. Got to the end of it and I just noticed this thing and it was like, how long until you know? And I was like, I think I want to marry you. And you were in the same boat. You're like,
I'm pretty dang sure I do too. Like,
I see us in the same boat. And that was more for like just being intentional with like, hey, are we wasting our time or
this is going in the right direction.
It's going in the right direction. And so then at that point, she had no idea of like when I would propose. And in her mind, she anticipated probably later on the following year.
Like in the fall of the following year.
In the fall of the next year. But I was like,
3 months later.
I ain't wasting time. So 3 months later, we take a trip of 16 of us all the way down to Puerto Peñasco of Mexico. And we decide to do a fun little trip with friends. And so we are hanging out in this giant Airbnb. Mm-hmm. So much fun. I decided the way I wasn't going to ask her is she loved, like we were saying, competitive escape rooms. And so I did like my own makeshift version of like an escape room. I reached out to one of my friends that I met in California who was phenomenal at escape rooms and talked with him about like, hey, I need to create clues, but I'm going to ask Alyssa to be my wife and I need to figure out what are some good ways, like good clues, whatever. I've never been to this house before. I have no idea. Like I just have pictures, but I have to like use my best judgment on it. So we came up with this list of like escape room type riddles where you had to like follow the steps and like go to the next thing and then you had to find things or whatever. But then the final one was on the beach and you had to dig out where there was a big X. And once you dug it out, there was a little box and inside of the box was half of a Polaroid. And there was the first half because I found this like this Instaprint like camera and what we did is it would take pictures and immediately print it in like a small like 1x3 or 1x2 picture. I was like a 2x3. And I had Alyssa go to the store with some of the friends and I was like, you guys need to buy time because we need to put some of the riddles down, get the place set up, and then I got to go like to the beach, figure out what to go. So,
I did not want to go to the grocery store. I was upset that I got sent to go.
And
but
also,
you wanted me to drive the car, like your car.
Yeah, I had to play it smooth. So I was like, I only trust you to drive it. Please don't let the other guys drive it. Can you just take them, go to Sam's Club, get some stuff? She was like, okay.
I don't drive in Mexico.
And also one of the friends that went was trying to buy time. So he was pretending to be drunk
which
and be
irritated
really
me
obnoxious.
So much.
So you really hated the time.
I did.
But
I'm like, we are in a different country.
Yeah.
I'm stuck with Mr. Drunk Cody Netzer, but he's not actually drunk. Good
you're,
acting,
You're
sir.
going out here with names.
Well, he knows who he is. He knows I was upset about that. But
most people won't know though. So
No.
you can just reserve one names.
It's fine.
But
if he's listening.
Well, we love Cody.
He knows I was upset with him.
Yes.
But
so
now I understand why.
You were there. I was getting everything ready. But then what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a picture of me on the knee at the beach in the same spot, taking the picture of me proposing. And then what we did is we layered the photo into 3 photos. And then when we layered it, I had the photos as like when you made like checkpoints in the scavenger hunt, you got that picture. And I think I cut it up into a bunch of different little like squares, but you had to put it all together. And so the final picture was on the back of like the journal. And then you had to open it up to the page, and then you had to put the puzzle together, and it was timed. So the goal was like the teams, like the 16 people that came were split into teams.
And here's why I didn't suspect anything at the time too, because another girl on the trip, her birthday was the week before and mine was the week after. So that's the only reason we were chosen as team captains.
Yes.
To like form our two teams essentially.
Yes.
So we were like, oh, our birthday, it's cool.
And it was the winning team. I like paid for dinner for them or something like that. So I was like, she's in my head, I'm like,
he's paying for my dinner regardless.
Right. And so, so I cut it up into a bunch of pieces. She gets to the end and it's timed because they'll win based off of how fast they do it. And so she doesn't have time to like process as much because in a competitive mindset like her, she's like, I don't care, get the thing done. So she gets all the way down. She like opens the thing up, but then like her friend Emma, who is kind of like right next to her for the whole thing, is kind of like being like, no, you do it. And you're kind of like, okay, whatever. So she's like watching and you're trying to put the puzzle thing together. And she's like, giddy. And I'm like slowly walking up behind and I have the ring and I get down and you put the picture together and you put in the last one and you're like, wait, what the heck? And you turn around and boom, same as that picture, me propped down on a knee. And you were like, no. And I was like, no. And you were like, no. I mean, yes. Oh my gosh. And so you were awestruck and I popped the question. You said yes. Yeah. All of our friends started running and screaming and it was one big fiesta. And we were engaged, made some phone calls, hung out for the rest of the week in Mexico, and then the world shut down. It was COVID. We literally escaped being locked out of the country.
The first
by
half
like
of our
day,
trip, everything was open. Like the last 2 days we were there, everything.
Ghost town.
There was nothing.
This is like the spring break location.
Yeah.
The town is always flooded with students. Yep. We could not find another soul at the bar. Like any of the the bars.
All the restaurants were like closing.
And we're not even like drinkers either. We were out there just to like go explore
just like,
for a little bit.
Now is anything open? Like, can we do anything?
People were gone. Everyone was like, the country's going to lock down. You won't be able to get home. And we were kind of like concerned about it. But we got back and then lockdown happened. And then we planned out our engagement. We did 10 months.
Sorry, we thought about that.
I wanted to, I was like already reaching out to venues. I was like, let's do it in October. And we started talking and you were like, I want to finish school. And I was like, well, when do you finish school? And she was like, December 12th. And I was like, the 13th it is. And you're like, are we really doing this? And I was like, yes.
Well,
and
yes to marriage, not the date. Yeah.
Yes to the date. Yes. You were like, okay, we'll do that date. Then you talked to your mother and your mother said, ain't no way we're doing it on the 13th. Way too close to the holidays, too much family things going on.
I think she was right. Like I definitely would have been overwhelmed. Like I know myself and I knew as much as I would have loved to like get married sooner and do like a fall wedding or like spring, love those so much more. But I know myself and I'm like, I'm either going to now pour all my energy into planning this wedding. Yeah. And I'm going to neglect school, or I'm going to neglect planning the wedding and focus on school, which I know just wouldn't be the case.
Right. For the degree you don't use now.
Yeah, exactly. But I wanted to be able to enjoy it. And I know if I was rushing to like do it in the middle, it just would not have been enjoyable for me. So
So we land on 10 months. We land on January 3rd of 2021, still in the COVID season. But at that point, they were just rolling out the vaccine and they were, especially Arizona was really good about the restrictions. They weren't making it like super intense like California or Portland or like New York. We got lucky. Doug Ducey was great about it. He limited certain gathering sizes, but people were still gathering in those sizes.
Plus we had a fully outdoor wedding, so that did help as well.
Yes. And so, but the outdoor gathering restrictions, it was like 300 or something like that. And we had 170 guests. So it worked out really well for us. And so engagement happens.
Which we'll jump into that.
We'll do a whole other thing about like planning wedding and that kind of stuff. But then we tie the knot on January 3rd, 2021. And then we immediately follow with a honeymoon in Tulum. We wanted to go to Bali, but they had locked down the country all the way up until
the 1st.
The 1st of January.
So we didn't want to place all of our bets on them pushing back a travel restriction or yeah, it was just too close. Too close.
It was yeah, sketchy. So we decided
Tulum
let's just do Tulum. We heard about it from a friend. We'll go there. It's open. Things are great. So we go there, have a wonderful time, and madly in love. How it goes. And then came back, and I guess since then, I mean, we've done married things like
it's all right.
like procreate. We've we got a dog.
And
we've moved from home to home. We rent right now. You were doing work at Dutch Bros Coffee for a while.
Yeah, I was babysitting is what I switched to. And then when COVID happened, all the families had to work from home anyway, so they didn't need help.
Yeah.
Or if they did, it was too much at once.
Yeah.
And then started working at Dutch Bros.
Started doing that. And then
while I was finishing. Oh no, I was finished with school already.
You were finished with school, but then it only lasted for about 6 months, and then you decided, hey, I think I want to go into esthetology?
Esthetician school.
Is there like a word?
Beauty school.
Beauty school.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm just going to call it that from now on.
Not hair. Not doing the hair. All things skin. Skin and yeah.
Hair, no.
No hair,
That was a really bad joke. So you decide you want to get into school. So then you start stockpiling on top of that. And at that time, I was a part of a startup for a restaurant. Failed. And then left that and then started doing more wedding stuff. And then from then up until it was about a year and a half later, we found out we're pregnant. And we were not planning.
That was a shocker. We always knew the risk involved.
Yes.
We were prepared.
Yes. And in the same way, not in the exact same way, but in the same setting of proposing to her on a beach, she told me on a beach that she was pregnant.
Having a little baby. Yeah, we'll tell that story another time too.
Yeah, very emotional, very
just
fun.
The whole pregnancy journey. We'll share about that.
Yeah, not all of the intimate details.
No. Nope.
So, anyways, I think that's our love story.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's I think the majority of it. We are also I think pretty detailed. So I'll be baffled if people listen to the full thing.
I know. I was like, you really want to pop
like
off
this
here.
This is yeah. Maybe we'll do an intro at the beginning after this or whatever, and then kind of give some context. Yeah. But that's our love story.
That's our little timeline of life.
And that's how.
Obviously, there's a lot more to it. Like
so much.
We touched on, like not going through the honeymoon phase. Like we didn't really have that, so we'll touch more on all of that and stuff. But
yep. But that's how we met. That's how we fell in love. And now we're married and have a child.
Married for 2 years. Have a little 3-month-old nugget.
Just a little cheese curd.
Cheese curd. He's got terrible nicknames, but I love it. My little kettle corn.
It will phase out. My little raisin. Oh, man. No. So, that's it. That's the end of the pod.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. We'll start talking more things for young lovers, but gotta know our story if we're gonna be able to.
Gotta get our credentials.
Yeah, our credentials. That's it. But that's a love story, and that's what we got for you guys today. So we'll catch you young lovers in the next episode.
Bye.
Peace out.